Ja, hallo und guten Abend bei Handmade hier in unserer Sonderausgabe zu 50 Jahre SAILOR. Wir haben hier einen ganz besonderen Gast an der Strippe, und zwar den Schlagzeuger, den Grant. Hello, Grant. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, let's
Good.
see.
Hi.
Great to have you here.
Thank you, and welcome to my back garden in Lewes, England, on a very uncharacteristically sunny day. It's beautiful.
Hello and welcome to the show, George Kayanus.
Guten Tag. Danke. Great to be here.
Absolute pleasure, Katrin, as always. And of course, you shared a lot of that with us, haven't you? So you're the best one to ask the questions or to talk about it with.
The thing I'd love to say is that SAILOR changed my life. You know, SAILOR gave me the most wonderful life that I would never have had without SAILOR. And I will always be grateful to the other members for giving me that opportunity to express myself artistically, but also, you know, to be successful as a musician. Anyway, all I can say is thank you, George. Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Phil, for giving me a wonderful life. Really, so grateful.
Well, it was an amazing time, and I mean, the further away we get, I think the more we appreciate those years and what we had, and it was something a little bit different. Yeah, I mean, we look back very fondly on that time, and we achieved quite a lot of success as well. A lot of people still remember the band. We still get played a lot on the main stations everywhere, and I think people have very good memories, you know, and fans like yourself have obviously been very faithful to us. Many German fans, well, fans everywhere, but it's great. And you know, we had a very good influence, and as we were saying earlier, we're all still alive, which is fantastic at the moment.
Yeah, knock on wood.
It sort of feels a bit scary that 50 years has gone by. I mean, I have a relatively good memory of it going on, but still, it's quite a while, and it's been pretty great. I have to say, of course, there hasn't always been as many hits as before, but hey, what can you do? We just have to keep trying.
And thank you for testing to see if I'm so old I can't remember anything at all, because I find myself remembering things, and it's actually very good for me. So yes, try me on something else now. See what happens.
You know, if I turn this here, you can see certain things here. Yeah. So I'm sitting amongst all the wonderful trophies that we have.
Think of me up there. That's my writing room up there. It's called the Grateful Shed.
Oh, hello, Bella.
Nice
to meet you.
Yeah, she'll try and hit the computer in a minute. So.
It felt good. It felt very good. And it's, you know, I mean, for me, of course, I've had this extraordinary luck of meeting up with some people who seemed to like what I was doing, so I could unleash this whole fantasy world of SAILOR, which was really a fantasy that began with something I was working on, not really a musical in the real sense, but more like a cafe theater type of red light review, if you like. And so I played them Sailor's Night on the Town, and Grant in particular felt that it was so interesting for him because he felt it was so unique. It didn't sound like anything else, but it was very powerful because it communicates well.
In the case of Grant, yes, a good band with an excellent drummer, and he was and still is. Tom, my son's done very well, and he's a very powerful drummer. And when he joined us, he was, everything was exciting and fiery, and Ollie's got an enormous voice. But the SAILOR sound was defined by what I would call Grant's top kit, in that all the melodic part, if you listen to all the Latin American stuff, and you also listen to the sparing nature of it. I would liken him very much to why Charlie Watts was so popular in the Rolling Stones. So yes, Grant should be ashamed of himself for thinking that he isn't brilliant.
Indeed.
But I haven't, you know, the trouble with being a drummer is you're parasitic. You know, you don't play the drums on your own. So I haven't touched a drumstick for probably 12 years or something now. You know, it's sad. But I still have my drum kit.
That's good.
Yes, no, I still have my drum kit. You know,
Lovely.
I probably won't play it again, but I still have it. You know, yeah, indeed. But the strange thing is that when I'm tutoring, okay, I tutor online because since COVID, my wife and I don't tutor face to face. But when I'm waiting for a student to come online, so they'll call me on Skype or on FaceTime, I'll sit going. And I'll just keep doing that. So
You still got it?
Very silly, a strange man.
Oh no.
Yeah, strange habits. Yeah,
Just a little Schlagzeuger, right?
Yeah, just an old Schlagzeuger. Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
I just remember it was like the four of us creating this little world, you know, creating this, you know, with these wonderful songs, but trying to do something really different. And I think that before anybody had seen it or heard it or anything like that, so it was we were taking risks, you know. It was like the instrumental lineup was very different to other bands. The look, you know, the theatricality was quite audacious at the time, which was kind of, everybody had long hair and denim jackets and leather, you know.
But yes, so it became something rather unique. Either something that's too unique so nobody hears it, or it can build up to actually be successful, which it sort of did with CBS, although in the beginning it was difficult. But I suppose on the second album, I decided to write something a bit more commercial. I mean, as a tryout. And Glass Champagne came, and so did Girls, 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 which obviously I'm not complaining.
And I just remember one specific thing. I remember the front door bell ringing. You could always hear it. And it meant that usually somebody who lived downstairs would go to the front door. And in this case, obviously, Phil lived in the basement, so he'd come up at the front door. I looked out of the window and there were two people waiting to go in. And one was a guy called Mo Foster, who was a bass player. And the other guy was a bloke called Grant Serple. And they were going, presumably, to meet Phil and George with a view to possibly playing in Kayana's Picket or something like that. Because then later on, Phil said, George and I are thinking of, you know, forming a band. Would you want to have a go? And I remember turning up and meeting this guy with this extraordinary Salvador Dali moustache and a long hair and a ponytail. Very, very shy. That was George. And obviously the songs that I thought, they had a real natural, they were songwriters, whereas I was in a band that wrote songs. It was very different.
And you know, I always loved performing. It was just great fun. You know, you don't say you're going out to work today. You say you're going out to play today. You know, it's a very different thing. You know,
the 50th anniversary next year. Obviously, we had our #1 record in England, which very briefly, but it was still, that's what I'm most proud of, because it was #3 it was the NME chart, the New Musical Express chart, that was the only one that was important. Well, certainly to myself, but that was the one I used to get the NME when I was growing up. You know, that was my Bible. #1 was #3 was Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. #2 was ABBA, which was massive. Well, massive anyway, one of their biggest hits, can't remember it. And #1 Glass of Champagne. And for that week, there we were, #1.
But anyways, to be able to sort of live out that whole thing over time has been for me the most extraordinary thing. And also having such great musicians and singers as, you know, Phil, Henry, and Grant, and such great musicians and fun to be with, nice guys, which has been a real bonus. So, I mean, I feel extremely, I feel my heart bursting a bit when I think back on the stuff we did together and the way it worked out and the downs, the ups and downs.
I personally think there is a fascinating story to tell that is all to do with the uniqueness of the thing that ended up with something that sounds like a good commercial song. But I think the actual the story, if you want to try and stand out in a media where you've got Netflix, Prime Video, every conceivable form of channel of entertainment, the documentary, if you were to do like classic albums, the documentary of SAILOR would be, a guy sitting with a saw making the instruments and having an idea that actually involved us putting down electric guitars and going to a completely different world. It's more like the sort of a strange type of sort of invention in the early 70s that some people try out and they take it out on the road like the first men trying to fly a plane. I think that's the story that I would think, if you'd say 50 years ago, something very, very unique happened.
Yeah.